perspective, politics and the elections will get here soon enough, but we've got legislative time yet this year to work cooperatively. These are starting points, these bills, but the minority has a right to be heard. Ohioans have a right to have legislation move that'll help get them back on the job, help get our infrastructure rebuilt, help Main Street businesses, restore funding in a fair way through the misclassification bill. So we'll get to the election soon enough, and that's a fair question, but there's legislative time yet this year for labor and business to find common ground, for Democrats and Republicans to find common ground. We're taking this first step today to ask the Republican majorities in the House and the Senate to hear these bills and begin to move them on behalf of working families and the middle class across the state of Ohio.
Leaders, do you believe there's an opportunity here to attach any of these bills to the portions of the MBR that are being rolled out today?
MBR, you mean Budget Corrections Bill?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
And I ask that both in that, your optimism that it would actually be accepted, and two, if you have great concerns about parts of the MBR, would that make it tough because attaching your ideas to a bill that you overall don't like?
Let me first start by saying that, going back to some of the things that were talked about earlier, the cuts that have been put in place by this Republican majority and the governor, the impacts are just now being felt across the state. We are seeing community after community being forced to cut police officers and cut firefighters, cut safety forces for the public. We're seeing in schools teachers being cut. We're seeing class sizes escalate. We're seeing the fact that our kids are not getting the education they deserve. The cuts have been extremely damaging. In nursing homes, we're seeing layoffs across the board so that when grandma or grandpa need care, when they press the call button to get help going to the bathroom, nobody comes. The cuts are devastating, and we hear nothing about making up those cuts. We hear nothing about remedying the devastating impacts that have been caused. We hear about giving more money to the wealthiest Ohioans, but we don't hear anything about filling the needs that people are facing here in the state. As we have proposed, our #1 priority right now is taking the excess funds and giving it back to the people of Ohio by enabling our communities to provide the education our kids deserve and by providing the safety that our communities need.
If I could just piggyback on some of the things that Leader Budish said. A couple of things. Senator Turner and I, when we sat down on this bill, and we went through 6 iterations, I want to say, and we had interested party meetings, and we met with a bunch of people. The ideas are the strength. So if, let's say, Governor Kasich wants to co-opt one of our ideas, or co-opt, many of these ideas and put them in the budget corrections bill, we're concerned about people getting to work. And that's the #1 priority. Now, these are good ideas. They've been vetted. Some of them, not only in the state of Ohio, but across the country, like tax credit for broadband development. Is there anything wrong with that? Does that make sense to everybody in this room? Workforce realignment program, providing scholarships for the long-term unemployed. What is wrong with that? Oh, strengthening the Ohio Skills Bank. The Veterans Program that Senator Turner mentioned. Helping at-risk youth for $5 million. Summer employment. Utilizing community colleges to close the skills gap. Neighborhood revitalization block grants. I mean, is there brownfield rejuvenation, redevelopment? Is there anything wrong with any of these ideas? Not a one. And some of them, quite frankly, came from Republicans, but we can't even get a hearing on this. So, it's the strength of the ideas and making sure people are back at work that's the most important thing, regardless of how we get there. I mean, the fair thing would be to give us hearings on our bills in the Senate and the House bills that were mentioned earlier, and let's have a mature adult discussion about them and get the best legislation forward. But, you know, if they're unwilling to do that, they're unwilling to do that.